Hello, my name is Jason Arnold, and I'm a business analyst here at My Healthcare Hospital. And I want to go over with y'all just some simple methods, breakdowns of recommended models that we want to use for the existing inpatient prescription process, and the models that we're going to use that are identified by elicitation, analysis, and specification. As far as an overview, really quickly, as far as software process modeling is concerned, a software process model is going to be a simplified representation of the software process. Um, each model is going to represent a different process from a different perspective. So as far as those methodologies, types of modeling, just outside of the specifics that we're going into, would be like a waterfall model, and that's going to be like a sequential approach, where the fundamental activity of each process is going to be represented by a different phase, arranged in like a linear order. Another methodology that they're going to use, as far as models concerned, is prototyping. And that's going to be a version of a system where part of the system that's developed quickly to check the customer's requirements or the feasibility of some designs or features or decisions. So a prototype is useful when a customer or a developer is not sure of the requirements or the algorithms or efficiency or business rule or response times or things of that nature. So in prototyping, the client's going to be involved throughout the developmental process. Now, as far as the specifics is concerned, I know we can go into incremental development, things of that nature, or kind of dive into like prototype functionality or things of that nature. I want to go into the elicitation of it really quickly, and give you a breakdown, because that's going to be the first activity of the requirements as far as any type of requirements engineering. So the requirements elicitation, it's going to, like I said, be the first activity of the requirements of engineering with a process like inpatient prescription process. And this activity is going to be aimed at discovering the purpose of the software system, which is going to be later defined and mapped into system requirements. As far as examples of this approach, because when you have to elicit the system, the requirements of information system for an organization, the different types of techniques and different types of approaching can it be used. You're going to want to you're going to want to make sure that you document those clearly. So examples of an elicitation type of modeling would be a goal modeling and business process modeling. And again, they can be utilized for elicitation of systems. And they also have, driven many research efforts and been applied in many different types of industries. Now, as far as the goals, the goals within this approach have been recognized to be essential components within the requirements solicitation or requirements engineering. Mainly, you want to make sure that you support the objectives that every organization needs to achieve by modeling and analysis in these goals. So again, with the business process model, it's a set of structured or ordered activities that are going to be performed in an organization to achieve some type of business goal. A business process takes input from the business environment. It's going to create outputs, and it's going to be executed and coordinated by the people or the technical components that exchange information. So, therefore, a business process-based, requirements elicitation approach is going to be for the system requirements, mainly aiming at developing support for the organization, again, by modeling or analysis. And I know I went over that kind of quickly, but both goal modeling and business process modeling, they're going to deal with the business requirements, again, for the elicitation of system requirements. And they can be, they're going to be important for the development within that system. So, for example, a business IT alignment is going to be reached within the business goal activities and processes of an organization. And they're going to be in harmony with the technology that supports them. However, it could be, considered that the goals based in that type of approach and business based approach are ones that can be completely different. And sometimes they don't have a correspondence with the existing system. So you want to make sure that, again, you're using models that can be varied for system-wide understanding and for like operational goals. Another type of modeling that can be used, and this is for the analysis, again, to make sure that you're understanding the measure performance and setting of targets, would be an analysis model, specific like a business analysis model, and they're going to be useful tools and techniques that you can use to understand your organization's environment, and it's going to help you think more strategically about your business. So there are tons of generic techniques that are available, but excuse me, when it comes to the forefront of using things more frequently, the ones that are utilized the most are going to be the SWOT, SWOT, the strength, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats analysis, that type of model, as well as the PESTLE model, which would be the political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental analysis, as well as things like scenario playing and Porter's five forces framework. But I'm going to go over the SWOT analysis and the PESTLE really quickly. As far as your SWOT analysis, it's one of the most popular strategic analysis models, and it's going to involve looking at the strengths and weaknesses of a business. So at my healthcare hospital, we want to make sure that we understand the needs and wants of this organizations, but also, again, the strengths and weaknesses, and the opportunities that we can utilize, but also threats, whether it's malware, ransomware, things of that nature. Once you identify, these strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, you can assess how to capitalize on the strengths. After this analysis, you can minimize the effects of these weaknesses. You can make the most of the opportunities, and you can figure out ways to reduce the impact of any threats. So the SWOT's going to give you a better insight into your internal and external business environment. But it doesn't always prioritize the results. So we want to make sure that, again, we utilize the elicitation, analysis, and specification so that we get a real understanding of the frameworks that we need, because it is an important performance analysis that's going to be needed within this. That's often called the IPA, not the beer though. Okay. Another analysis tool is going to be the PESTLE, like I said before. And really quickly, I just want to go over that really quickly. As far as PESTLE is concerned, it's just a technique for understanding the various external influences on a business. So if that's like stakeholder input or customer needs or things of that nature, we want to make sure that we closely pay attention to that, because that's going to be an important measure. Also, really quickly, with scenario planning, it's going to be a technique that's going to build various views or like plausible views of possible futures for business. So if we have any mergers or any type of integration or any type of government regulations that are going to affect our business, we want to make sure we understand that, as well as factor analysis and five forces. And that's going to be the five forces. The last thing, it's going to look into important factors that affect like competition, whether it's existing competitors, suppliers, buyers, things of that nature. Lastly, specification. And with choosing specification, this is a little bit more detailed, because sometimes it goes into statistical methods and regression models and things of that nature. But really quickly, as far as statistical methods for model specification, the examples that I want to use, I apologize. The example I want to use is before I get into that. The model specification is going to be the process of like determining like which independent variables to include and exclude from like a regression equation. I know that sounds a little technical, but you want to be able to choose the best regression model from a small sample so that the statistics match up with the wants and needs of your organization. So the need for model selection often begins when the researcher wants to mathematically define the relationships between independent and dependent variables. So this is where the specification models come into place, and statistical methods for model specification are going to be like adjusted R squared and predicted R squared. And typically you want to use these select models that have larger adjusted predicted R squared values, and these statistics can help you avoid the fundamental problems within the organization, and they're also going to help you when it comes to, again, understanding the data to determine whether your organization can decrease or increase any general again wants and needs of your organization. Also, understanding the p-values for like independent variables In the regression, the p-values are less than the significant level. They indicate, terms within your organization. So putting that in layman terms, as far as the real world complications, your best model within this form is only as good as the data that you collect. So specification of the correct model depends on you measuring the proper variables. So when you emit important variables from the model, the estimates for those variables that you can include can be a little biased. So we want to make sure that we understand that and that we grow as a company accordingly. I know it's a little bit technical. This is for my business analysts and also for the stakeholders that are going to be utilizing this information to move this company forward, because we definitely have to get this inpatient prescription process under wraps, because it's definitely costing us at the bottom end, and it's definitely combating our financial reserves. So I just thank y'all for y'all's time. I hope that I cleared up a little of those, just gave you a little bit more information based on those three types of models and what they're there for. And I thank you for your time, and I welcome any comments, criticisms, or replies. And have a good blessed day. Thank you.